DNVR Broncos live, coming to you from Studio A here at the DNVR Bar, where the A stands for, and so it begins.
And
so it begins the season of hope.
Yes.
Everyone is 0-0.
Let's go.
The Broncos are tied for first place.
Boom.
Maybe the best time of the year on the podcast. sadly.
Wow.
It's so true. We don't have to worry about the Chiefs winning or losing anymore. And like you said, everything's tied up at 0. And there's even more reason for hope because Sean Payton's in town.
There is. The only thing that sucks is that the NFL is rigged for the Chiefs.
The league isn't rigged. The league
So I
isn't
obviously
rigged.
knew Ryan was going to have this
Yeah.
approach, whether semi-joking or 100% serious. I'm curious what Hank thinks.
The league is not rigged.
Okay,
Well, okay.
I'm right there with you.
The league is not. There's no way in hell they're going to rig the league. Like the NFL
They're
is
just
going to.
Did you see Roger Goodell hugging all the Chiefs
Yeah,
so
I'm sure.
passionately?
That's what
after
the commissioner
game?
does when a team wins the Super
He should
Bowl.
just be the commissioner.
That's what the commissioner does. That's the commissioner's job to be down on the field in those situations.
Timmy from Sweden
To
has never
congratulate-
once hugged me after I won a Madden Super Bowl.
Yeah, you didn't when you went to hug you when you went to London.
That's a good point. Probably.
Probably got Timmy hugged.
Wow.
Rigged.
Is the Madden League rigged?
No,
No, because Timmy isn't out there hugging champions.
wow, it's not the NFL is going to print money for decades and decades and decades, as long as they don't do something dumb like rig the league so nobody cares anymore. Like there's absolutely no incentive
point.
to do it.
They're already
Nothing is
losing
rigged.
people.
It's a good point.
Just look at rigged on Twitter.
They're
That doesn't
losing
mean it's rigged.
people for the next 36 hours, and then when free agency starts in 1 month, everyone's going to be like, yeah, this is great. My team just signed X player for $20 million. I'm back, baby.
I'm going to be researching the storylines of free agents and just being like, man, I just hope this free agent storyline is good enough for the NFL to pick us next year.
It's not rigged. Why would they rig it? I love football. Don't
Rigged
try to
is
ruin
a strong
football.
word. It's just that they were going to just lend a helping hand
They
to
did not do that.
their golden boy.
They did not do that.
Jalen Hurts would have been such a good story to get, and not would be. He is a great story.
Yes,
to
but
get
he's not the
behind.
golden boy of the league.
What the NFL
That's
needs
how he
to
got
do,
that far.
Patrick Mahomes is still the golden boy if they lose last night.
No.
Yes, he
Who
is.
it? It's not Jalen
Well,
Hurts. He's not going
I
to.
don't even know
that. It's not that there's a new golden boy. It's just that you want your golden boy to win.
Why?
What do you mean? He's the golden boy for a reason.
why?
He's the face of the league. You
But
want
why?
him to have as much success as possible.
Why? What do you
Because
gain?
He's more marketable.
But aren't people today upset that that's what happened? Aren't
Yes.
people saying like this is dumb? I can't believe I watched it. It shouldn't have ended with a penalty.
Yes.
People are leaving unhappy, not happy.
Okay, so
you're
wait.
not getting more viewers. You're losing viewers.
So we're taking a very broad approach. Let's just talk about why this conversation came up.
Yeah.
Was it a penalty?
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
No,
Yeah.
not in that situation.
my God.
Absolutely not.
That's a situation where you have to call it.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Situation
Let me ask
shouldn't
you this.
determine whether it's a penalty
True.
or not, in my mind.
Is going 51 and a 50 speeding?
Yeah, it is.
That's what that was. So should you get pulled over every single time you do that?
When it would decide the Super Bowl, you have to throw the flag.
No, that's the opposite.
No.
When it decides the Super Bowl, you can't throw the flag.
See, I don't think
No.
the scenario should matter, and I
Exactly.
think that this is it's just so up. No, I understand in the moment. I understand why people are like, "Whoa!" Is because initially maybe the camera angle doesn't show the angle that the ref had, and you don't see it right away,
Exactly.
and then people
That
are like,
happens
"Well."
on every play.
And then the broadcasters were looking at the other angle, saying
Right,
what they're
exactly. So I do understand initially, and I was right there too. I was like, "Oh man, that is ticky tack.
Which it
This
was.
is gonna be brutal." And then you see the angles, the other angles. You see it live with the right angle. You see pictures of it, and then after the game, the player himself says, "Yeah, I committed the penalty." When you take all of the facts and put it together, it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, it was the right call. Unfortunately,
They
but
didn't call
regardless,
that,
can't
but they
be grabbing a guy in that
but they
situation.
didn't call that the entire rest of the game. It's not as
Yeah.
if they were calling it the rest of the game, and I'm saying you can't call that late. You got to swallow your whistle. I'm saying if you're going to let them play physical and have their hands on the receivers all game, you can't change that in the last minute of the game with the game on the line.
I do totally agree with that, but I also haven't gone back through the game to try to see like if guys are being grabbed and if there were times there should have been flags thrown. Like there wasn't one.
Twice as many penalties called on the Eagles than the Chiefs in that game.
But I don't care about that. Like it's the same thing with Jokic. He doesn't get the foul calls. It's like, yeah, because he plays a different style of game. Like you don't just get the foul call. You have to be fouled, You don't
think Jokic is getting fouled when he goes to the rim?
He does sometimes, and it gets called.
They only call it if the ball doesn't go in and he's too good at making it that he doesn't get the foul calls. That's my actual belief on that.
I just can't
the
believe
refs
that
wait to
Hank,
see if it's going to go in, and if it's going out, then they'll give it to you, but they don't want to give him an and one on every play.
Henry just hates Denver in general.
That's not
He doesn't
true.
think Jokic gets fouled. He likes the Chiefs. It's
The big takeaway from all this, though, is that regardless of whether the calls are right or wrong, this is like 3 times in the last month where a big game has come down to people arguing about whether calls are right or wrong, and that is not good.
That is.
And that's why the NFL needs to just put a ref up in the box. Like a ref who can look down and say like, this is right, this is wrong. They throw the flag, he can buzz down and say, hey, you missed this one. Because you just have to you have to get things right now.
On top of that, too, it's just another reason why it is absurd that referees and officials in the NFL are part-time. They should 100% be full-time employees because then Roger Goodell could come out and say not just, the comment he made last week about how the officiating's never been better, but then he could say if he made every ref full-time and they're doing training all throughout the offseason and they're working together and they do the additional things of having someone in the booth like Henry's saying, then they can say, now we're doing everything we can to make officiating the best that it can absolutely be. And then you can, instead of rolling your eyes and laughing at Goodell when he makes that statement, when he makes this other statement and they're backing it up with their actions, then you could say, okay, thank you for that. So I certainly think that there's bigger issues at play 100%. And that's something that there's no reason why the NFL, with how much money did they make on the game last night? Billions of dollars, that they can't make. How many officials are we talking about? 150? I don't know. If even full time.
Yeah. I mean, you need 4... Or how many do you need for every game?
6.
Okay, so you need. We'll just say 6
or something.
There's 16 games a week.
Yep. Yeah. So not even that.
Yeah.
Talking about 75-ish.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, like
100.
Yep.
If you make them full time, like what do they do all day?
I don't care.
But that's the thing, though.
You can ask that question about a lot of full time.
I was gonna say,
yeah, but it's like okay, it's April 15th. Like, here comes the ref. He's checking into the office. What is that? Like, you just put a VR headset on for 8 hours and then go home?
Sure.
You don't even have to have them. They can have a cush job because they're at the top of the top. Yeah. When it's some jobs, when you get to the top of the top, you're bringing in, millions while not working that much. And now you're not going to pay the refs millions. Pay them $150,000, $200,000. Like, pay them a lot of money. And you know what? It's not going to impact the NFL's revenue at all.
Right. There's people all over the country who work seasonal jobs on a full-time salary.
Yeah.
Whether that's, multiple months off a year, half the year, whatever. Like, heck, Santa's elves really only work hard for like 1 or 2 months.
True. It's very true.
I think the part, though, about like the full-time, part-time thing is that it's technically part-time because they don't need to go sit down in an office. Like, they still, like, in 2019, they made $205,000 a year. Like, that's plenty enough money for a full.
Make them full-time.
But again, like, what you're doing is you're saying you need to come sit down. And if you have like something to have them do to make them better, I think that I don't think refs are getting better. I think we've maxed out what a human ref can do. I think that you just have such good cameras that you need to take advantage of.
And that's the main point there. Is you have last night they said something crazy. I forget what the number was, like over 300 cameras. Use them all and have someone in a command center who just says like, hey, like I don't know if they can throw like there's like a green flag they can throw that's like, I think there was a penalty here, and then they go check it and tell you whether or not it was.
The issue with that is there are penalties on every play, and then you would have to design a system to where it's egregious enough, and then that's still not black or white, and you don't want every single play to be reviewed. Obviously,
it's a really good point, and it's why I have the biggest issue with calling that last night. Like I said, it's a 51 and a 50. But the entire game, everyone on that highway is going 51. They just picked the most important play of the entire game to throw it. That feels wrong to me. That feels jaded to me. That doesn't feel right.
To me, though, I see it and say, But the guy grabbed a guy on 3rd down, 10 yards from the end zone at the end of the Super Bowl. Like, that's a situation where you can't let him get away with it. And then the bigger piece to me is that, like,
it's not like he redirected him or anything. Like, he had his jersey for, like, a split second.
Could have slowed him down, though.
I mean,
and he does
kind of
like
coverage.
It's the slingshot thing is their argument on those like little whip routes where you grab him and then you can kind of pull yourself back.
The thing with that one, and it is a toss up, Brian. I'm not saying it was like
totally.
100% obvious, but if it wasn't called, I think the Chiefs would have had just as much, if not more, issue to complain. So that was one where I don't think the officials would have ever been right. I don't think, and both sides would have been getting absolutely killed.
I guess what happens in that situation if they don't call it is Chiefs fans are upset. The rest of the country is like, yeah, you got to let them play there.
Yeah, but you don't do it based off like.
No, I'm just saying like that. But what you ended up with was the entire country being.
I don't think that's true though. I think it is pretty split on which way that should have gone. Maybe not in Denver, obviously, but I do think in general.
And that's the tough thing about this conversation.
Like if you go on
we
Reddit,
are in Denver.
Exactly. But if you go on Reddit, like it's a bunch of people saying like, "What are you talking about?" That's absolutely.
Go look at like national media. Not that they're the end all be all, but like you've got almost like my entire timeline was just like Pat McAfee's against this.
I saw this morning though it was very different, and that's kind of what I think when I took a step back. I've started to see more people be like, okay, yeah, it is. There's also people, of course, against it. And so for some people in the comments that are saying that Juju didn't like it or didn't say that there was a call. The guy that committed the penalty said that there was a penalty. I was shocked by that, I got to say. And I also have to say the Eagles, the players and coaches, class act after the
really
game.
Were. They were like,
in terms of the penalties, in terms of Jalen Hurts, the way he carried himself. I was so impressed with the way that Nick Sirianni carried himself after the game. Again, not just with this penalty, but just that's a guy that I'd want to play for, and that's a damn good leader. I was very impressed with the Eagles.
I was too. It almost made me think, like hearing Bradbury too. I almost feel like Sirianni said like, "Hey, let's not be sore losers. Everyone take the high road. We'll be better off for it. We'll be back here next year. We'll get the job done." Because usually there's like spicy things that happen in post Super Bowl press conferences. Every single Eagles player was just like so, like you said, so classy. So just like, hey, like they were the better team tonight.
And man, were the Eagles and Jalen Hurts great last night. Jalen Hurts specifically. Holy cow.
One mistake.
He is, and just a brutal mistake because it was just something he's done millions of times in his life of just transferring the ball from one arm to the next. It wasn't even like he wasn't tucking it right and a defender got his hand in there. Just so brutal. Jalen Hurts was an absolute beast.
Did we just get a Tommy P bomb?
No.
Oh.
It was a lie. I checked. Don't worry.
Thanks.
It was a fake Tom account?
No. Well, potentially.
Or just we're getting trolled in the comments.
What? A little of both, maybe.
Tough. That's
the
tough.
big thing still, though, to me is like this offseason, they are going to add a ref in the sky.
Do it.
And it's like the only way to fix it. Because legitimately, I don't think refs can get better just using their own eyes.
Yeah.
Like, I think we've maxed it out. Like, you could put more refs out there, but that doesn't seem like the answer. I do think this gets fixed because you can't just keep talking about every single week.
So I think once you've gone to technology, right? We have embraced technology as a tool that makes the game better. Why aren't we using all technology available? Like, we saw Sean Payton on Pat McAfee pushing zebra technologies, and he was saying like they got a chip in the ball and it'll know if it crosses the goal line. How in the world have we not been using that? You see VAR in soccer, you see the insane replay system they have in tennis, and it's just like, okay, well, why don't we have that?
I think right now the zebra stuff gets it down to within 6 inches. So it's accurate within 6 inches, which is good.
More accurate than the human eye.
Probably slightly. But again,
it could help. It could be a tool.
Yeah. And then you don't know like when the knee is down, obviously.
It's almost worse though, I guess, if the robots get it wrong. You know what I mean? Like the guy's 5 inches short of the goal line, but it says it's a touchdown.
But would that happen?
Yes.
According to Henry.
If it's just all, I don't know, it's like math. Can math be wrong?
It's within 6 inches. So it's anywhere within this 1 foot range is where it's going to say the ball is.
But is it because of the 6 inches because the chip doesn't cover the entire ball? It's just in the middle. So then you'd be able to use that and the human eye to make it work. Because I don't think what you do
one
is
chip
just
on each tip of the ball.
It's like
then what if the ball is sideways?
It's for like GPS
Yeah.
It's for like GPS reasons. Like if you have your phone out and it says like, oh, you're right here within like 5 feet. It's because it can't be like perfect because the scanner technology, like where it transmits to.
Couldn't they just put a bunch of transmitters in the stadium?
I would imagine they've thought of that. I mean, they do. Like I don't think more helps.
They spent 2 years putting together the shittiest field ever. So
True.
Oh my
True.
god.
By the way, felt like the Chiefs had a little more footing on there. Groundskeeper, former Chiefs groundskeeper. Just saying.
Oh, stop.
Oh, boy.
That is
Just saying,
that
just
is one
saying.
thing that Nick Sirianni again took the high road on. He said when asked about that, he said stop right there. He said we were playing on the same field as the Chiefs. It's not like they were playing on grass and we were playing
They
on
just might have
ice.
had a little more tip about what the field's going to be like before they got out there. Jalen Hurts had to change cleats.
I don't know how. It reminds me of something that Sean Payton said last week when he was on Pat McAfee's show and talking about sometimes he forces the players to wear certain cleats that have certain traction and they're more uncomfortable to players, but he forces them to do it. And then what does he do to make up for it? On Monday, the next day, those cleats make it more uncomfortable and hurt players' feet more. So what does he do?
Foot massages.
He brings in a ton of foot massages in the locker room to allow his players to feel better after that.
He's going to do those fish that eat the dead skin off your feet too.
Wait, did you not know?
No.
Did you not hear that story?
I didn't hear that story.
Wow, that's impressive that you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, I guessed.
Yeah.
Foot massages.
Yeah.
I mean, what else could it be?
I don't know. I was not expecting that when he was telling the story.
Foot massage sounds awesome. I've never had one.
I haven't either. It sounds either awesome or like too tickly.
I've had a pedicure. One of the best experiences of my life.
I've only heard that. I've only heard good things about him.
All right.
Maybe we'll do DNVR Broncos.
Yes. We should just do a show.
Oh, from
while
here?
in the chair.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. But the Chiefs, not the Chiefs, the Eagles' defense was the biggest surprise to me last night. Obviously, I thought Mahomes was going to be good. I thought Jalen Hurts was going to be good. The Eagles' defense completely melted down in the second half.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, credit to Andy Reid and the offensive staff for that motion play, which is just like, it was so uncoverable in the Super Bowl at the highest level that I was like, should every team be running this 10 times a game?
Yeah.
Especially if they're facing man coverage.
Yeah.
So credit to them for that. They were certainly letting a lot go on the offensive line on both sides. And I saw, you saw frustration from the pass rushes on that, but Eagles, I mean, especially in the secondary, just didn't feel like the Eagles made any plays.
No.
And I just kept saying that late in the game, like, all right, boys, one play.
Right.
Just give me one.
Right.
Someone on the defense make one play.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't there.
No, it wasn't. And like I said, both offensive lines did a great job.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
sure.
Mahomes gets a lot of credit for that too. I mean, I think the Eagles got pressure on 31% of his pass attempts, which is a really good number.
Did they really? Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Exactly. But they just couldn't get home because Mahomes was a step in front of him or would make one little move. And then all of a sudden, Travis Kelce's doing his thing. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what you say about it for the Eagles defense. Like, obviously, you cannot be giving up a score on every single possession in the second half of a Super Bowl. But at the same time, like, you got the pressure. Mahomes is going to get away from that sometimes. When he gets away from that, you're asking guys to cover for so much longer. They shut down the run. Both teams really shut down the run. It was just only passing, and I don't know. I mean, it was a good game, but the offenses were much better than the defenses.
Man, and at a time it seemed
Which is
like
great for fans.
yeah,
Makes
hun-
it such a
hun-
better
I
game.
mean,
You think so?
73 points scored in the Super Bowl.
The
See,
Super
I
Bowl
don't-
is designed for people who don't watch football the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's designed for entertainment.
It was perfect from an entertainment standpoint.
See, I just felt like it was just inevitable that they were going to score every time. Like, you just go into every drive thinking like, oh, here it goes, it's back and forth. Like, when the Chiefs are down at halftime, you're like, oh, that's going to be tough to get your 2 stops.
But
Like,
then,
I
like-
kind of I thought it was a little too high.
Okay.
I was thinking like that 27-24, like
But
that's that sweet
But
spot.
you're a football guy, so like you appreciate defense.
Yeah.
Like these people want to see touchdowns.
It just felt like a basketball game more than a football game.
That's fair. And then one big mistake changes everything.
True.
Give me 55 to 52.
Really?
Now, obviously, I'd prefer if the Chiefs weren't one of the teams in that doing that.
Yeah.
But I mean, a 38-35, again, not the team that I wanted winning. And probably you don't want 38-35 if the Chiefs are even on the losing side. You just don't want the Chiefs in it. You want it to be like the Jets against the Eagles or something. But I thought that was just such an entertaining game.
It was. I mean, I love seeing like big plays being made on third down, like the throw to Dallas Goedert on, I think it was 3rd and long. Like, incredible, gets both feet in. And I think it puts an extra premium on every offensive play, which is an insane amount of pressure on the quarterback, which is what I want to see, is the quarterbacks make big plays under the most stress. You know, like Jalen Hurts throws that perfect post route to Quez Watkins, and he's not able to haul it in, and that changes the entire game. Obviously, the one fumble changes the entire game. So it's I thought that was fun to watch.
I think
I can also go for, I wasn't one of the people like crying my eyes out during the Rams Patriots. Like, it wasn't the most exciting game, but it was like, to me, it's sick to see a defense just like go and put the clamps on a team who spent 2 weeks trying to prepare a plan.
To me, I this is by way to say it. I felt like yesterday, the whole time, I was just cheering for a penalty. Like, it felt like the only way either team.
Who is this guy?
No, it
Chiefs
felt,
fan.
but no, like the only way any team was going to not score is if on first down it was like, oh, holding call. Now it's 1st and 20.
Which
They're like
only
set way
happened
back.
to the Eagles.
Yeah, whatever. But then, like, it seemed like any time they didn't pick up a first down, it came like a play or two after a penalty. And so you're just sitting there like, and I think that's what I don't like about it, is that it takes a penalty. And like, if you get a sack and that's why, that's cool. But I think that's the part that I didn't enjoy, was that I was sitting there thinking like, yeah, these teams are going to go down the field. You need a penalty, you need a sack or something. Most of the time it's a penalty that happens.
You know what's
The
so
unfortunate thing is that's where football is going. Like,
Yeah, it
everyone
always
is-
balances out.
Everyone is here to watch the quarterbacks, and everyone wants to see points, and they're making all the rules harder and harder on the defense. They're talking about eliminating another tackle. Can't go high, you can't go low. Now you're not going to be able to drag guys down from behind.
Yeah, this was also like the lowest scoring season in like a decade, though.
I'm all for it. I'm all for the points continuing to go up. And like you said, that's kind of the direction of this. And the saddest part is just, Henry, you make the argument of the only way these teams aren't going to score if there's penalties against them. That just couldn't be more opposite of what this past Broncos season was like. It was like the Broncos had to get penalties in order to score points, and so different. But now we're living in a different future with Sean Payton coming in, one of the best offensive minds that this league has seen. But they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in the division, and we saw both of them be masterful yesterday. So the defensive coordinator might be just
Very
as important. Or, yeah, probably not just as important, but very important in slowing this down. Let's talk about Sexy Rexy. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Breckenridge Beer, because if you want to be sexy, maybe have a couple Breckenridge beers. It'll at least make you feel like you look sexier than you may be. An Avalanche Amber Ale is the amber ale, not just Breck Brew, but of Colorado. So if you're a big fan of ambers, you got to check out Avalanche Amber Ale, and it's so cool. I mean, obviously, it's the Colorado Avalanche beer. We've got the Denver Nuggets beer, the Golden Ale. You've got Broncos Country Ale. Breckenridge Brewery does such a great job of delivering to Colorado people exactly what they want. So grab yourself some Breck beer. Go check them out at breckbrew.com. There's a Breck beer locator in the top of the screen. You click on that, and that will take you right to everywhere that you can get Breckenridge beer, whether you're in Colorado or whether you're outside of the state. So check them out, breckbrew.com.
Also, check out our friends over at Jive Hive. Saturday, we got back from the Super Bowl Friday night.
Yep.
All went our separate ways.
Yep.
Saturday, I was like, I'm not moving. Refuse to move today. Just not going to be an option for me. So, ordered Starbucks, ordered breakfast, ordered lunch. Actually made dinner, but decided, you know what? Today's all taking place inside the house. And if you're someone who has days like that and you need some weed delivered to your house, Jive Hive has your back. We are living in the future. Actually, before this show, we were talking about like what's something that people are going to look back on 20 years from now and be like, I can't believe we were doing that. One thing is going to the store to get weed. And now Jive Hive has you taken care of there. So check out JIVEHYVE.com to schedule a delivery and check out our friends over at Jive Hive. It's a hell of a world we now live in.
It is a hell of a world we now live in. And someone says, silver lining, maybe with the Super Bowl victory, Andy Reid will retire. And a very weird question from Terry Bradshaw. We found out that is not going to happen. Andy Reid said he's going to be back. So that's the unfortunate reality that the Broncos live with. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. Is Rex Ryan the best way to slow these guys down? Because we found out over the weekend that Sean Payton interviewed TV analyst Rex Ryan to be the Denver Broncos' next defensive coordinator, a name that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and he probably hit up Sean after he heard about these foot massages. I have to give credit to the comments for that one.
Is there something him and feet?
We talked about this already.
I forgot.
Thank you, yeah. Likes feet.
He likes feet. Okay.
Just like Micah Parsons, that came out this week.
True.
Did it? That he's a foot guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
He said it.
I think like statistically, there's got to be at least like a couple other football guys in the or feet guys in the locker room.
It is football after all.
There's definitely a lot of football guys statistically.
The thing is that the brain that finds sexual attraction and your foots are like right next to each other, so it's really easy to cross your wires with that.
Wow. Okay, wait.
We love science on this show.
Before we get any further, is there any other weird stuff I should know about Rex Ryan?
I mean, you should definitely Google Rex Ryan foot video.
But that's it.
I think
just
that's
his
it.
foot? Like, there's no other off-field things?
No, not like that. Not like concerning. He's
Okay.
like a weird
Okay.
dude.
Yeah,
like he was
yeah.
on The Amazing Race and was terrible at
I
it.
know he's on The Amazing Race. Wow.
Yeah, people kind of stopped watching that. Amazing Race kind of got ruined once people could, like, you don't have to like go up to the counter to book flights anymore. You know,
Right.
you have
right.
like an iPhone to do most of the work for you.
I've never seen an episode of The Amazing Race.
Used to be incredible.
think I have either.
Recently, meh.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was a
That came
thing.
out like right at the same time as Survivor, and I
Yeah.
went Team Survivor.
I was mostly Team Survivor.
Speaking of Amazing Race, one of the awesome members we met last week
Yes.
just applied for the
Yes.
Amazing Race, so I'll watch it if he gets on.
I will too.
Yes.
You can send that to the producers at ABC or whatever channel it's on.
So the reason I ask about Rex Ryan, and because when this news came out yesterday morning, I could not believe how many people hated this move on social media. I mean, this was like the most hated move that I could have ever imagined the Broncos doing, just interviewing Rex Ryan. I couldn't believe how negative it was because initially I took the complete opposite approach. I was like, Rex Ryan is a head coach. Okay at times. Obviously had a lot of success the first 2 years with the Jets, and then everything kind of fizzled out. Didn't have the most success with the Jets to end his
Mark
time.
Sanchez at that.
Exactly. Back-to-back AFC championships, beating the Patriots in the playoffs both years? Or just 1 year?
Definitely one. I remember them also beating the Chargers in another one.
Okay, so that, and I'm thinking, as a defensive guy, absolutely sign me up. And then you dive a little more into it, and that's where I start getting in the weeds a little more, not being as over the moon about this. What do you guys feel?
I don't know if I want a whole staff of TV guys. And I mean that seriously. I think that once you've left coaching and lived the sweet life of being on TV and not having to embrace the grind 24/7, I just think it might be a little easier to not embrace the grind. And so with Sean Payton, like, you're taking a chance on one of the greatest offensive minds of all time. You need him to come fix your quarterback. That makes perfect sense to me. I kind of want to surround him with like young, hungry individuals.
Fair.
Wow.
To maybe push him a little bit, but also just upkeep that standard of work ethic in the building. I don't know. I'm a little weary of the idea of just like, when was the last time Rex Ryan was on the sideline?
He's been out of NFL for the past 6 seasons.
That's too long.
6 seasons is so much, and I was not a fan. I did hold this against Jim Caldwell because he hasn't coached in he didn't coach for 4 of the past 5 seasons in the NFL, and I held that against him. I hold it against Rex Ryan for not having coached in the NFL in 6 full seasons. Not as much when you're talking about a coordinator position, though, compared to a head coach, but it still is it's a ding to him.
Mm-hmm. And what he was really good at was the game planning. So he came up with the Ravens late 90s. eventually took over as defensive coordinator before he went to the Jets. So he was a part of that staff that kind of switched that defense from the 4-3 that won like the 2000 Ravens defense, one of the greatest of all time. So that was the 4-3 defense. They morphed into like this 3-4 hybrid thing, and he was kind of at the centerpiece of that. Him and Mike Nolan, and then just him there at the end. And it went really well. When he went to the Bills, you kind of saw the same thing with, they were running a 4-3. He came in and turned it into a 3-4, 4-3 hybrid. And I think that there's a lot to like about that. It's kind of a weird fit with the Broncos personnel. At the same time, though, we've talked about it. There are pros to moving to that 4-3 defense. Although there's like the cons of like, what do you do with Jonathan Cooper and all those guys? I think that sort of hybrid where you can be playing everybody in their correct roles and asking them to do what they are best at could really fit well. And again, going back to the game planning, it's figuring out how much you use the 3-4, how much you use the 3-4 under and over and 4-3 and all these different things on a week-to-week basis so that the offense doesn't really know what's coming, and it's all based on personnel. And I think that's why Sean Payton would like Rex Ryan in particular, because a lot of the things that Sean Payton does offensively are the same things that Rex Ryan is all about defensively. And so I think that it could be a good mesh. It's weird that he's been out for so long. And the results for his defense weren't great in Buffalo, but at that time, Buffalo hadn't won him forever, so can you blame him? I could get behind it for sure.
I think when you look at the numbers and you talk about the success or lack of success Rex Ryan had, you can make a case that he's a great hire or that he's a kind of underwhelming hire. And what I mean by that is there's two ways that people look at defensive points or defensive success. It's by looking at total points given up and total yards given up. I personally prefer looking at points. Some people, and technically the one that you look at is yards, kind of confuses me. But what I mean by that is you can look at it either way. Rex Ryan has been either a defensive coordinator or a head coach controlling the defense 12 seasons. With yards per game, he's been in the top 10 9 of the 12 years. He's been in the top 10 9 of the 12 years, and multiple years where he's been 1, 2, 3. So he's been...
For yards or points?
For yards.
Okay.
So 9 of the 12 years. However, the 3 worst years, one of them he was 11th, so I mean pretty much top 10. The other 2, though, 19th both years, were the most recent 2. And then the 11th was 4 years ago, or 4 years that he most recently played. So you say, oh, he fell off there, but still, overall great resume. However, you look at points, and that's the one, again, I care about more. He's been in the top 10 5 of those 12 years, and the most recent one when he was in the top 10 was 2010. So you're talking about like over 10 years ago, nearly 15 years ago. And if you look at points per game, the past 6 years that he's coached, he's been in the top half of the league once. Once in those 6 years. And guess where he was? 15th. So, I mean, barely top half. So he was 16th, 15th, 24th, 19th, 20th, and 20th. So if you look at that, then you make the case of, well, he's average to below average. So what are you talking about?
The take would be he was washed 6 years ago when he left the league. What is he now?
But again, they're not hiring him to be head coach. They're saying you get to put all your energy into the defensive side of the ball. And again, I think that there's something to the way that he plays defense fitting the modern NFL really well, where it's all just matchups based, and there's so much late movement. In some ways, he was kind of ahead of his time with all that stuff, where he's disguising defenses. That's why he switched that 3-4 in the first place, because you don't know who's coming, don't know who's going. And I think that he and that Ravens staff, but again, I don't want to take credit away from him. They were very, very innovative in how they were approaching things. And I think a lot of that's been taken. And maybe that's like saying, oh, yeah, Mike Shanahan, he was all innovative. Mike Shanahan comes back now. Well, the game has kind of moved on because people have innovated off of those innovations. So I definitely think that there's a good case for bringing him in. Again, I really think he fits the personnel well. Like, you just lean on your best players to do a couple of different things to make these multiple defenses work. Exactly. It makes it so simple for everybody else to run these very complex seeming defenses for the offense. I don't know. If he wasn't such a weird guy who I didn't like for those reasons, I would be all in.
Someone in the comments said another one of the concerns is his tattoos, which could never be a concern for me, I don't think.
Do you know what they are?
And I was thinking the worst, which is like the one way that it could be bad.
Tramp stamp?
No.
Feet?
Just like the messaging of a tattoo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All I can find is that he has a tattoo of his wife in like a seductive pose wearing a Mark Sanchez jersey.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
Which is weird, for sure.
Yeah. It
Definitely not
is.
a concern.
Sexy Rexy to a whole different level there.
Yes.
Also-
so Henry, to your point, or kind of combining your point and my point, I think your case for him of just being a defensive coordinator, you can easily make, because when he was just a defensive coordinator with the Baltimore Ravens for 4 seasons, their defense was outstanding. I mean, you're talking about the worst the defense was in terms of yards given up those 4 years was top 6. He was 5, 2, and 1 the other 3 years. In terms of points, he did have 1 year where they were 22, but then the other years, top 10, top 3, the number 1 defense in the NFL. But then if you want to make the case against him using those exact numbers, you say that was in 2004 or 2005 to 2008. Now it's been, I mean, you're approaching 2 decades since that's been the case when he's had success. So you can obviously, and rightfully so, ask the questions, has the NFL just moved in a completely different direction where he wouldn't be able to use the defense and success that he had? So I just think Rex Ryan is a very interesting case here.
We're talking about the Jake Plummer era.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
you
that-
remember seeing Jake Plummer last week? How different he looked?
That's what I mean. Like that, Jake Plummer is the quarterback of the Broncos.
Wow.
In those
Our-
years that
yeah.
you're talking about.
Our guy Jose in the comments said, I could call a great defense with Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Haloti Ngata, and Terrell Suggs. His scheme didn't make those stars in other locations. But again, you have to remember what happened. When Ray Lewis was aging, Rex Ryan was the one who said, no, we're not asking him to cover the whole middle of the field. We're switching to the 3-4 so that he has this kind of condensed area to work in and can focus on going forward. He switched to the 3-4 to help Haloti Ngata and spread those defensive ends out. So that base defense they were running basically was just Haloti Ngata holding down 2 gaps in the middle and working outside of that as well. Terrell Suggs, what does Terrell Suggs do in a 4-3? Not all that much. But you switch to a 3-4, and all of a sudden you put him in that position where he made all those Pro Bowls. So I do think it's easy to say, like, yeah, you have all that talent. He put all of those pieces in the perfect positions to be successful by switching from a 4-3 to this 3-4 hybrid.
What's the quote we heard last week from maybe the most surprising source that could have said this quote? Emmanuel Sanders. In retirement, he has learned that coaches make players.
Yep.
Players don't make coaches. I couldn't believe you said that.
I mean, props to him.
Yes, huge props to him.
Yeah.
And there you go. And, I think it's obviously a mix of everything. I do think that personnel is, aside from quarterback, obviously quarterback is going to be the most important person to the success of an offensive coach. But I think actually on defense, personnel is more important outside of that position. And, some of those places where he struggled, I don't know if he had the guys to go out there and win on the defensive side of the ball. And didn't he make Darrelle Revis? Like,
That was his guy, yeah.
So
And the other thing is, like, the defense the Broncos have been running the last few years, like, it's worked well. The results are good. It is also just based on plugging guys into that system. You're not catering that system to the players that you have. That's been my complaint with Justin Simmons. Why are you bringing him up in the box when you could just have him sit deep? Why aren't you... It's great that you can get Pat Surtain to lock down part of the field. Don't let him throw that way. Find a way for him to be able to jump routes and get some interceptions too, though. There's a lot of that sort of stuff, and that's where Rex Ryan really specializes. So it'd be a risk to really change what this defense is based on. But the potential payoff is that maybe you're using some of your better players in ways that could make them even more successful than they have been in the past.
I guess I'm going to compare everyone to Ejiro Evero. And I just don't know if this is an upgrade from that perspective. And so
Great way of looking at it.
I also look at last season, and the first time I had any concern about the Broncos is when I saw Nathaniel Hackett's staff. And I was just like, man, what's going on here? Now, this is obviously not that. Like, we're talking about a guy who has had a lot of success in the NFL. But the first hire, the only hire that we really know of to this point is Zac Stevens. That's his name, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Zach.
I wasn't sure about the first name. It felt wrong coming off the tongue. And that is a offensive coordinator or an offensive line coach with no experience. And that scares me. Like, that's move number one. Now, I think, of all people, Sean Payton will understand the value of who is on your coaching staff. So if he loves and believes in this guy, definitely going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But if you go from that to a guy who's been out of the NFL for 6 years, I'm just like starting to see the complaints of the full coaching staff and what it's going to look like.
So 2 questions. Would this be a good hire? Would you say that hiring Rex Ryan as a defensive coordinator would be good?
It's too black and white. I would say,
Podpoll. Do you like the hiring of Rex Ryan as defensive coordinator? Yes or no?
If you're going to force me to answer that, I'm going to start at no.
Okay. Henry?
I think I'd say yes. It's tempting. Again, it's one of those things where it's kind of like the conversation we had with Brian Flores. It's like, yeah, Brian Flores, everybody kind of hated him, and he was kind of like obnoxious and screaming at practice, and he had all those things, but you also look at the scheme, and you're like, oh, well, this is all awesome. And so you compare him to Sean Desai, who we just know basically nothing about. And it's like, well, this guy has pros and cons. This guy could be literally anything. Rex Ryan, you have the pretty obvious cons that we all know about, and I think it's why we've all been annoyed with him for a decade at this point. But, I mean, he's a good game planner. And if he's the guy you have coming in to design your defense week in and week out, I think there's a good chance he's one of the 10 best guys at that in the NFL.
One thing that just has to be brought up because it exists is that he has had some serious anti-Russ takes this year.
That is true.
Oh, man.
So that's a tough squeeze. Now, I think Sean Payton, of all people, would just be like, so what? He was on TV. He has to have an opinion.
Yep.
Get over it. He's not even your coach.
Yep.
But it's a little odd. It's a little weird to bring in someone who's just been crushing Russ on TV.
But Sean hasn't been overly complimentary on Russ, so I actually think he might like that to kind of just make everyone in the building a little more uncomfortable. And I think that's something that obviously Rex would probably do with Russ, although he wouldn't have that much interaction. But I think that's something that Rex would also do with the defensive guys, make them uncomfortable. If I have to pick a yes or a no, I lean yes right now, but I certainly see the no's out there. I think it would be a gamble. But right now, you kind of need to take a gamble in order to slow down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And Rex Ryan would certainly bring a different approach to that. He's aggressive, which may not be the best approach to take going up against Patrick Mahomes.
You know what would sell me pretty well on it?
What?
Is Sean Payton just being like, yeah, the person that I liked scheming against the least was Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
Do what you don't like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, now final question. Will he be the defensive coordinator?
No.
I'm going to say no as well. This news might have got out there to test the waters, and the waters were very rocky.
Were cold.
Yes, you were jumping out immediately.
We got some pretty positive responses too. I would say it was very mixed.
Okay.
I felt like there were a lot of B pluses to A's, but also a whole lot of F's or F minuses, or some people even saying Z minus. And it's like, well, that's so yeah.
That means good, right?
I'll say yes. Okay. I'll say yes,
You'll
just
say
for the fun
there
of it.
Go. I like it.
Yeah, he'd be
Those
so
aren't his
hands
teeth,
off.
right?
It seems like.
Teeth?
Those aren't its real teeth.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
You haven't been watching enough Rex Ryan on ESPN.
I don't think I have. I haven't followed Rex Ryan enough. I don't know about the teeth, the feet, anything in between, the tattoos. One thing I do know something about is our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook, where right now you can still bet on the NFL. In fact, it's the first thing I did after the account settled after last night. I said, what do we got for the NFL for next year right now? And they already have bets going on. You can bet on who's going to win the Super Bowl, who's going to win the AFC, who's going to win the NFC. You can even bet if it's going to be the AFC to win the Super Bowl, the NFC. You can bet on who the MVP is going to be. You can bet on so much over at DraftKings Sportsbook right now.
I have to say, DraftKings saved my night last night, because I just kept asking myself throughout the day. I had a plan in mind of how much money I was going to put on the Chiefs to try to jinx them.
Yep.
But then I changed my mind on it, and I was like, it's actually, I shouldn't think of it as to jinx them. That would be a nice benefit. But I'm like, how much money would I have to win to feel okay about the Chiefs winning? And that is a lot.
Yeah.
So I won a lot of money last night.
Were you live betting, or was it before the game?
Before the game, I just would type in a number and then be like, if I won that much, would it make me feel better?
Wouldn't feel good.
Nope. Type in, and it also was if I lose that much, would I care as long as the Chiefs weren't Super Bowl champions?
Yeah.
And
So you found the sweet spot?
I found the sweet spot.
Oh, man. Well, I'm
the sweet spot.
happy for you.
It didn't really hit at first. I was still just so mad about that stupid call. And then I opened up DraftKings and I was like,
Okay.
Let's withdraw this real quick.
You didn't tell Allie, though. You weren't like talking about it at the end of the game.
I didn't say no.
Yeah, smart.
She hasn't
smart.
heard a
You're
word
smart.
about
You're,
it.
you're smart. That's a smart way to go. And if you think the Chiefs are going to win again, you can get them at plus 650. If you think anyone else is going to win, you can go over to DraftKings Sportsbook and place that bet. And of course, you don't have to wait till next year to be cashing bets out. They have in fact, I open DraftKings Sportsbook. What's the first thing that comes up literally on the homepage? It's called the center of attention bet. Jokic 20-plus points, 12-plus rebounds, 10-plus assists, and the Nuggets to beat Miami plus 350. That is insane that you're betting a triple-double plus a win, and you're only getting plus 350. That shows how good the back-to-back MVP and soon-to-be back-to-back-to-back MVP is. So you can bet on anything. Check them out over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Make sure to use the promo code DNVR when you sign up to get all the offers. That's code DNVR. DraftKings Sportsbook must be 21 or older. Colorado only, it must be 21 or older. Void in Ohio. And see our show notes for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
I wonder what Ohio did to deserve that. Wow.
They're just new to the game.
Yeah.
That's true. Exactly. And wait, really quick.
DraftKings pick of the week.
Yes. Let's send out our DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week. Do you want to bet on the Broncos and have better odds of making money?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then I have a bet for you.
Okay.
AFC West to win the Super Bowl. Not the best odds, plus 300, but you can be pulling for the Broncos.
No.
And if they don't make it, then you're just, it's kind of like you, Ryan. You're just going to have that money built into it, where if the Chiefs win it again, then you're going to win.
I'd rather just have the plus 650 on the Chiefs, honestly.
Oh my god.
It's fair, but then you're not. Then there's no way to pull for the Broncos in that
True.
scenario.
Yeah, yeah. I've been trying to bet more with my brain though, and less with.
It's fair.
I really should just take that money that I ended up putting on it last night, just put it on now.
Yeah.
Right,
So again, I took the Chiefs at plus 320 before the playoffs started, and they're plus 650 for next year. And the difference is they had the bye.
This is disgusting. I can't talk about it.
I know. No, it sucks. But again, if the Chiefs are gonna be good, you make your money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dirty money.
Dirty money.
Dirty money, and I have some. My DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week. This the other night was in the minus, which absolutely blows my mind. But back tonight, it's back up at plus 155. It's Nikola Jokic to record a triple-double. I believe he's done it in like 12 of the last 14.
Okay.
And it's plus 155.
Dang.
Yeah.
And it was in the negatives?
It was minus 105 when I bet it the other night, and it hit.
Wow. Yeah, I love getting the plus money.
Yep.
And if you want to just throw on the Nuggets to win, then it's plus 350.
Well, you got to get 12 rebounds in that one.
Oh, right. Not just a straight triple-double. Good call.
I'll just take the Nuggets plus 110 to win. Is that what's still at?
It is minus 115.
Really? Well, good thing I made my bet this morning.
It is a good thing.
Maybe that with your bet, it chipped the odds.
Maybe.
What else do we have to talk about? That's our DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week.
All right, there it is. What else do we have to talk about?
What else do we have to talk
What
about?
else do we have to talk about?
We have
Foco.
Oh,
I forgot. See, and what had happened. So I was all right for Foco, and then we did the pick of the week thing. So I was thinking where I talked about Foco, but yeah, I mean, you see the bobbleheads back there. A few of those at least coming from our friends over at Foco.
Yep.
So much cool stuff. They'll agree with anything that you say. All you gotta do is just nod their head up and down like that. They also have shoes and sun hats and sunglasses and Christmas ornaments and Christmas stockings. And I'm not sure if they have things that are themed for other holidays. Like they have Easter gear. Like they have like a rabbit with like a Bronco.
Oh, nice.
I'm sure. But yeah, Foco, make sure that you go and check out what they have. You can do that by clicking on the link in our YouTube description for the show, or you can also click on the link in the podcast description as well. And again, you can use the code DNVR. You can get 10% off all non-presale items at foco.com.
All right.
All right.
Questions? Should we talk to the people?
Let's do it. Let's talk to the people.
Let's hit some super chats. And really quick, Cody's been champion the thumbs up again. Please,
We are getting
if you're
crushed
tuning
today.
in on YouTube, hit us with the thumbs up.
Wow.
Yeah, we are getting crushed.
78 thumbs up.
It's very sad.
It is sad.
Maybe people are just down.
Or maybe
after
they
last
just
night.
really like Ryan Clady.
78.
That's true. That's very true. Let's.
I just have to say, you guys came through big time with the thumbs up on our Friday show.
Yep.
And that like directly correlates to us getting more new viewers. So we really appreciate it when you hit us with a thumbs up. And to all the new viewers out there, welcome.
Yes.
We are excited to share the offseason with you.
Absolutely, we are. And as we've said, unfortunately and fortunately, this is the best time of the year for this podcast.
It has been.
It's the off season. So just because the Broncos aren't going to be playing for like 7 months doesn't mean the show's slowing down at all.
Can you imagine like us being together, getting ready to do a post Super Bowl winners lounge?
No,
That'd
we'd be
be
in
so
Arizona
fun.
right
We would
now,
be.
still, or flying back maybe today.
Yep.
We'd be getting ready for a parade
Post-parade
tomorrow.
pod.
Oh baby, that will probably be the best pod we've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, let's set the line. Over under Super Bowl 66.5.
We just had 57.
Under.
Yeah. Under?
I gotta take the under for sanity reasons.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good yeah.
So the longest drought of our lifetimes was 98 to 2015. So that's a 17-year gap. And it would have been
Wow, you said the line
2015
Thanks.
to 2032.
Yeah, it would literally be, his line was 16 and a half years.
Wow.
Wait, I thought mine was 9.5 years.
No, from Super Bowl 50 though.
Oh,
Plus another 7.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Impressive.
crazy. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job, Henry. All right,
Thanks.
let's hit these super chats right quick. First one from Jake Rogers, former Broncos game ball recipient.
Hey.
Whoa.
What's the point of being a fan anymore? The NFL is blatantly rigged for their new golden boy Mahomes. That made me physically sick. You just hope every year that the writers' room chooses you.
Oh my gosh, and that's why
The Russ comeback story might be it might be high up on the list. Like when they are ranking what's the best story that can happen, Russ comeback story might win this year.
No better story. Well,
Sean Payton, the media, love like the bigwig media loves him.
the first coach to ever win a Super Bowl as being a head coach with 2 different teams,
Yes, and
How
the
about
third
that?
quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl with 2 different teams.
and 2 times for Denver.
Yep.
I feel like
Boy.
I just love football too much to even joke about it being rigged.
Yeah, I
like
can't
if
even put my head
exactly
there.
like if it was rigged, that would ruin my life.
Yeah.
Like what
it
would I have
did.
at that
It
point?
ruined my life for like a
It's
week
not rigged
after
though.
after the
It's not
AFC
rigged though.
championship.
Like I can't even laugh. I can't even laugh at the script jokes.
It's not funny to me either.
Fair. It's fair. Evan says, foot massage discussion on the Rex Ryan episode.
Wow.
I'm telling you.
If he's hired, maybe we need to give foot massages.
Just say, all right, I'll wear a visor if it comes with a foot massage.
Wow, is that the new logo for the Broncos? A foot massage with a visor?
Yeah, is this new in the little corner there? The questions?
Yeah, that's us. Did you know?
Oh,
That is us.
that is.
Yeah, I love it. You're here.
I'm
killing
trying
it.
to hear. I'm trying to give you what you guys want.
Thanks, yeah.
You're giving us what we want, except for foot massages.
All right,
I'll
5
give you
likes
guys
away.
a foot massage, not personally, but I'll take you guys to get a pedicure.
let's do
There we
it.
go.
It's awesome. Like
Wow.
there's golden and
Go.
everything.
And then we got a couple questions on the website from M. Moogie94 says, we joke about the script, but man, having the refs call the game for the Super Bowl was wild. Since the canceled Bengals and Bills game, the NFL literally changed the ruled handbook to effectively freeze out the hottest teams in the AFC. The Bengals out of the 1 seed and put their ducks in a row for the Chiefs or the Bills to rep the AFC. And along the way, Chiefs had so many quote-unquote fortunate calls, i.e. Sutton pass interference, to push them over the edge. Wild stuff from the NFL. This league. And just got to roll with some more comments because guess what they're about? This. The Count says, what a classic game ruined by a bad call. But hey, that Rihanna performance will probably get me through the next few hundred years. So I guess I can't complain too much. Also, nice work in AZ, my gents. Truly, kudos, love the Count. And Nash Broncos says one word, rigged.
Yep. You guys think it's just me? It's
No,
not.
I don't think it's
I
just
don't think
you.
it's just you.
I just don't think there's any chance it's rigged. It is not rigged, and I don't like it. Just I hate
Rigged
the
is a
idea that somebody could
strong
think
word
that
for. It's ushered.
it is not.
So you think the ref in that moment was like, damn, Goodell wants the Chiefs to win. I'm going to throw this.
If they were to usher a game, I would literally never watch football again.
But how would you know?
They would lose.
They
a
wouldn't
lot
do
of
it.
people.
They wouldn't do it.
It becomes
because
the
that's
WWE,
why,
right?
Exactly, because they would lose any integrity they have. And that's the fun of the game.
But you're speaking in absolutes. How could you know?
Well, it's if we wouldn't know, it would come out though eventually. If they were doing it, eventually some ref tells somebody, and the rumor starts, and then there's the report or whatever. But yeah, like you cannot convince
What about
me
the
in
NBA?
any way.
You had a ref rigging games.
Yeah, and we
Still
found
watch?
out, and people got really frustrated. But again, that's one ref. Like,
That
that's
we know
not
of.
the
Not
league.
the entire league. Right,
Exactly. It's
right.
not the league that was crooked. It was the one ref who.
Potentially.
No, we know.
You haven't seen the documentary. I think you
There were probably other refs as well, but again, that's a situation where you can weed out the bad apples. If the league is the bad apple, it's just done.
I understand where you're coming from, and I just wish I could have
You
that
can.
naivety.
I
It's
just
no.
I wish we were talking about not the Chiefs in this situation. I wish it was
Exactly.
the Giants, like an NFC
Exactly.
team, and just to see how Broncos country, because of course I expected the conversation that we had today, and I expected it to go exactly how it went, and I expected the comments to say 90%
Exactly.
that Ryan was 100% right, and that's what the comments said. I'm curious if it would feel the same if it was an NFC team that didn't mean anything.
I think
Yep.
I am too, honestly, because I just don't know how I
Yeah,
would feel.
yeah.
It all started with that Cortland Sutton offensive pass interference call,
So it hit
and
even
just everything
closer.
that went on in that game. That was like, damn, it really feels like going up against the Lakers, who have the same effect on the NBA. So I don't know. I wish I could.
Yeah.
I wish it was like Bengals Bills, and then like the fix was in for the Bills, and I
Right.
could see how I would react.
Hopefully next year we can be talking about this with a different team.
The Broncos.
Yeah, sure. Maybe it's the Broncos.
Hopefully.
And everyone will be like, what a great script.
Yeah.
What a great rig.
Great rig.
Great rig.
Anything else?
That's it.
That's all the people wanted to talk about. All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up. We can put this Super Bowl in the rearview mirror. We will see what goes on with the defensive coordinator situation. Hopefully, this is the week that the Broncos start hiring some coaches. We'll have that to talk about all week. But for now, we appreciate all you guys for tuning in, and thank you for getting us over 100 likes. Let's go for 250 tomorrow.
Let's do it. Boom.
We'll see you guys then.